Woo! We're back at Ancient Gardens, guys. As you can see, the tank is doing pretty good. You notice a couple of floaters of Monte Carlo in here. I did a little bit of trimming, just some kind of stray pieces that were hanging up off of the trees, looking a little bit weird. We got a lot to do today. We have some new extender pieces for our fixture up here, the current Serene kit, to get these lights out a little bit farther in front of the tank and also spread out a little bit more. Just get a better overall light distribution through the tank. I've been a little concerned about everything in the front of the aquarium because these lights sit so far back. So we're gonna mess around with those, see if we can't figure out how to get these things on here. I don't really know how this is gonna work out, but we do that, and then we also have some new plants. We're gonna mess around with the foreground of this aquarium and try and fix just this whole situation because I don't really like it all too much. It doesn't sound like we're doing a ton of stuff, but it's definitely going to take me more than a couple hours. I also want to show the settings that I have for the light fixtures, the 24-hour kind of day cycle that it goes through, along with the CO2 and how that's all working out. So we'll talk about that just in case you have these lights and you're wondering how to use them or you're thinking about getting them. Oh hey guys, this is Future Mike and I'm here to tell you that you can now get 5% off of your next aquarium, any aquarium, on waterboxaquariums.com. You just have to use code AQUAPRO at checkout, and I think the code only lasts until like July something or the beginning of July, so only about a month. Talk to your wife and make it happen. Wow, I've really gotten this thing dirty. Guys, check it out though. So I got these extenders on here. No idea if I added them on correctly though. So this is in no way a like how to do this type of a video. We have a good spread between the lights now, and I think here if I turn my helper light off, we do have a lot more light in the front of the tank. We can see these front trees a lot better, and the Monte Carlo is of course getting better light. So that makes me happy. We have sort of an extreme use case here. We have these lights hanging out way far in front, but we also have this on backwards for the reason of getting the lights out front, and so we don't really need to do that anymore, and I think that would help a little bit just by putting something in front of this, again if it was flipped around. The other thing that I want to do with the lights is I want to drop it down a little bit because of the fact that I have these two like racing stripes across the top of my top backlight, and that's just because the lights are up a little bit too high and it's creating some kind of weird reflection somewhere. So the closer we get these lights to the water, the less we're going to be able to see these racing stripes. We might not be able to see them at all, which is exactly what we want. Now, if we drop the lights down, then we're going to extend this black bar down into the scape, which I don't want to do. So to get this exactly the way I want it, I think what we're going to have to do is build some kind of false white backdrop to the tank. That way we don't see those arm bars when we lower it. So I don't know, that's a lot of work to do. I gotta figure out exactly how I want to construct that, probably out of that foam board, and build kind of something weird. I'll have to think a little bit more about that. But yeah, as it stands right now, I'm happy with the light distribution now, but I'm not happy about this sag. I don't know, I'll talk to my guy at Current and see if I just totally botched the setup of these arms. But let's move on. Next, I want to kind of tackle the placement of these foreground plants. The Crypt Parva that we have, if you watched the previous episode, you know that we got these from a farm. They come in a little bit larger than we want. They're all immersed grown. They will melt back, and then we will get the super small leaf growth, kind of like a leaf that size on this plant, but this is a super slow growing plant, so it's going to take forever. So what I want to do is move out a lot of these ones here in the front because they're just bugging the heck out of me. I want to tuck them back, kind of associate them more with the dragonstone, kind of like how we have the S. repens planted around this tank. And then we're going to fill in the front with hair grass. So over here I have some tissue cultures of dwarf hair grass. I love this stuff. It's in like 90% of my tanks these days. It's not super hard to grow at all. I think it kind of still gets associated with being a high-tech or more of a difficult plant, but super easy for me to grow. And guys, I just get this stuff off of eBay. I found a seller that I just keep going back to because the quality of the tissue cultures is super good. Let's pop these out. Like every time I order this stuff, it just comes in perfect. Like you can tell the tissue culture is good when the roots are still really white. And these have been at my house for like a week. So this is great. I'll put an eBay affiliate link in the description to the listing that I buy from. I'm not affiliated with them in any way. I just really like their stuff. Here's what 4 tissue cultures looks like. I don't know, I got 2 more upstairs, so we'll get these in and we'll see if we need the extra. That looks a lot better, don't you think, guys? I'm happy with it. Maybe we could put a few more plugs in here, but I think this is a good start. I've been kicking stuff up back here, trying to plant some of the leftover parva in the back and a little bit in the front, but we definitely have a lot left over still. I think we're just going to go with this smaller amount. I think it makes more sense, but now it's time to do a water change. See all the particulate kicked up here? So we're going to do about a 25%er on this aquarium. That's what I've been doing. I'm going to stick to doing that once a week for now. It seems to be a pretty good number for me. I mean, doing 50% is something that takes, I'll be honest, like longer than I want. So because we don't have any issues with algae yet, the plants seem to be doing okay for the first couple of weeks. We're just going to stick to that smaller amount as to not shock the system so much. And it works out kind of perfectly because a 25% water change comes out to be kind of almost the amount of water that will fit here in my 45-gallon bucket. So this is something that I fill up way ahead of time. I mean, multiple days. I let it get to room temperature here down in the basement, which is about 72, and then we can just use this bucket of dechlorinated prime water to refill the tank. Well, here they are, guys, the first inhabitants to go into Ancient Gardens. We got 2 black neo shrimp and a little snail. I just pulled these guys from across the room over one of the holding tanks that had the cherry barbs and the neon tetras. I also had these guys hanging out in there. I didn't know that there was shrimp in there, to be honest with you, but we got 2 big old females here. It doesn't look like either one of them are buried, so I don't really know what's going to happen as far as their long-term survival. I don't think they're going to be able to take over the tank unless one of them does have eggs and I'm just blind. Yeah, here we go, guys. Oh, this is so epic. Ta-da! Yeah, look at him. He's flying. Guys, I think that's it for the livestock for this tank. I don't want to overstock it, you know, because that's never a good thing. It always brings on more problems. So we might just leave it with that. What do you guys think? I mean, it's kind of hard to see what we just put in there. Where'd they go? I'm just kidding, guys. You know me better than that. We're going to get some sweet fish for this tank, and a whole lot of them. Check it out, though. So I did add in some more hair grass over here into the back left as well as the back right. I don't know. I just didn't have any plants there for some reason, and I don't know. I just realized that it was dumb that there wasn't any plants there. So we took the remaining 2 dwarf hairgrass cultures and we just threw them in on both sides, and I think it really just kind of rounds it out and kind of completes the look. I'm gonna be honest with you guys though, I'm getting a little nervous about the Monte Carlo. It looks good and it doesn't have a ton of like die off. There's a little bit of yellowing up here on the leaves. I don't know, every day that goes by I get a little bit more kind of freaked out about it working out or not. I just have to remember I have to be really patient because even the stuff over in the lava rock tank took forever to get going. But then, I mean, once it gets going, you don't really have to worry about it. I don't know, I just need to chill out and just rely on the fertilizer, let it do its thing. I'm just trying to keep nitrate at like 20 ppms and then a standing concentration of everything else. We can't test for everything else. You know, we can check phosphate and stuff like that, but in my experience, you typically never have an undetectable amount of phosphate, so I'm not really worried about that. I think that's going to be just fine for the Monte Carlo, and it'll be perfect for all the other plants in here too. I'm really impressed with this S. repens, to be honest with you guys. It it's doing really well. I've had hit or miss experiences with this plant, but this farm stuff is doing really well. So I'm super optimistic about pretty much everything down here at the substrate level, and it'll be fun to see, you know, once we get to the point where we need to do some trimming of the S. repens, like how that goes, because it's one of those plants where you can only, at least in my experience, you can only trim it back so many times before it's just kind of like done. All I know is right now I'm loving it, and I can't wait for it to spread out and just fill in all these little areas. I almost forgot to show you guys this, but I feel like it's going to help out a lot of people, those that are curious in what the lights are doing. And so this is the 24-hour mode that the current light is running on. So what it does is here at a specific on time, which you set, you'll go through a little 15-minute ramp up to then a certain setting of the light. And then that lasts for, what, 1 hour? And then you have 15 minutes of ramp up to your main daylight mode, and then 15 down, 1 hour, 15 down, and then you have your night mode, and then it repeats. So for me, let's start off here with my night mode. I have no LEDs on for the nighttime. And then my sunrise setting, which is the same as the sunset. You can't change those to be different, they're just the same thing. I have this. Let's go ahead and press this button on both my IR sensors. Where's the other one? So that looks like this, which is, it's mostly red, so you can customize this part of it, and I have it to where it's like 40% on the white LEDs, it's 75% on the red LEDs, and then I think there's only a little bit of the blue. I think it's like 15 on the blue LEDs and 0 on the green. So you can go through and you can change what percent you want of each of the colors. So that's what I have for the sunrise and the sunset, and I just figured that's probably what it's like in a tropical environment, you know, if I had to guess. And then again, here is the daytime on both of them, so you can see the difference. And then here is what my night is. Everything's off. So I drew out a little map here of what time exactly all of these things start. So my CO2 turns on at 10 a.m., which is an hour before my sunrise starts. The idea there is the CO2 will have some time to be on before the light's on, so the CO2 levels can build up so that right when the light turns on, then the plants have immediate access to the CO2. Otherwise, those plants are going to have to wait for the concentration to rise. So they'll have access to what they need right away, and then as they go through this period, they'll have, you know, more and more CO2 being built up. And then at about 12:30, we go into full daytime. And then that lasts for, it looks like, about, what, 7.5 hours? At which point it will be 8 p.m. That's when my CO2 turns off. And then we go through this period of the plants just consuming the rest of, or at least a decent portion of the CO2 that's still in the water. And then we get to the nighttime. That's at least what I'm going to be running with for, you know, the next few weeks as the tank continues to get more balanced. Hopefully, cross your fingers, and then, you know, if there's any problems, we can tweak that. But I think for the most part, even if we do have some issues, I'm going to leave that as constant as possible. I don't want to be making weird tweaks and stuff like that, because that could throw things off in here. So yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. Let me know what you think of the Ancient Gardens tank. Did you like what we did today by taking out the Crypt Parva, replacing it with something a little smaller, being the Dwarf Hairgrass? I think this is what we should have done originally. I'm definitely way more happy with what we have here now, and I can't wait to see what happens. But let me know what you think down in the comments below. What plants would you use in the foreground of this tank? I'm always curious to hear what you guys would do. Just a quick update for you guys. Next video on this tank, maybe it's going to be adding the fish. Not 100% sure yet. I'm sure a lot of crazy stuff is going to happen in just even like the next week. So yeah, thanks again, guys, for watching. Don't forget to subscribe if you're new and hit the notification bell so you know when I upload the next one. We'll see you next time.